Hello and welcome to our lesson on classifying creatures of the reef. In this introductory session, we will look at what biological classification is, why we classify reef creatures and how we go about doing it. We will also provide an overview of the different reef creatures we will be classifying as part of this lesson. So what is classification? Well, simply put, it is the organising or grouping of things which share similar features or characteristics. We can encounter this every day in different ways. We organise or arrange items into similar groupings, and this makes it easier for us to locate and retrieve those items when we want them. A simple example of this can be found within your kitchen cutlery drawer. Utensils, such as knives, forks and spoons, are arranged into groups which have a similar appearance and function. This makes it easier for us to correctly identify and locate the item we're interested in. So we can think of biological classification as a way of grouping animals together based upon what they have in common. So how do we classify living things, including our reef creatures? We do this using the taxonomic system, which organises and groups animals by shared characteristics or features. This is a hierarchical system which starts very broad and inclusive, and in a stepwise fashion sorts them into groups based upon features those creatures share with one another. Let's look at an example of how we are classified as humans. So at the broadest level of kingdom, we have all the animals in the world, including us, grouped together. And we then begin to separate those animals into different groups based upon what features or characteristics they share with one another. The next level down puts us in the phylum Chordata, or all the animals with a backbone. Now we're still very broad, for at this level we're grouped with birds, reptiles, fishes, and all other animals with a backbone. The next level groups us in the class Mammalia, along with other mammals, including dolphins and elephants, and the great apes, like gorillas and chimps. At the level of order, we're grouped with other primates, like lemurs and monkeys and the great apes, as we have more in common with them than we do with dolphins and elephants. We then come to the family Hominidae, which is just us humans, together with the great apes, the chimps, gorillas and orangutans. And finally we come to the bottom two groups of genus and species, which we'll come back to shortly, but first a quick recap. So far we've stepped through this system and you can see we have been progressively grouped with other creatures that we have more and more in common with. As we do so, we see a reduction in the number of creatures as we progress down through the taxonomic groups until we reach the least inclusive group at the level of species. These last two groups at the bottom of this hierarchy, genus and species, provide us with the scientific name we give an individual organism or reef creature. And for us humans, that scientific name is Homo sapiens. This is binomial nomenclature, or two-name naming system, which uses Latin to name an individual organism. This scientific grouping and naming system is used the world over in grouping and naming living things, including our reef creatures. It helps to remove any confusion that may come about with the use of common names for an individual. These common names may be very different depending on where you come from. A good example of this is the lionfish, which is sometimes referred to as a firefish or a zebrafish, a turkey fish, or even a butterfly cod. Now with the taxonomic system and the binomial nomenclature, we know this animal as Pterois volitans. So as we progress through this lesson on classifying reef creatures, we'll begin by grouping them at the taxonomic level of phylum and looking at what characteristics they share which place them in that particular group. In total, we'll be looking at 8 different phyla, including those that have a backbone, being the vertebrates, things like fishes and turtles, and a whole lot of other groups that do not have a backbone, the invertebrates, including sponges and snails, the worms, sea stars, crayfish, jellyfish, and my favourites, the corals. So join us for the next instalment on the classification of reef creatures.